Have you ever heard of a place that just vanished? Not over centuries, buried by sand or sea, but overnight, in the blink of an eye. Tonight, we re-delving into one of the most chilling and inexplicable mysteries of the modern era, the silent disappearance of the village of Kambali. Imagine a small, secluded village nestled deep within a remote, forested valley. Kambali was home to just over 300 souls. It was a place where everyone knew each other, where traditions ran deep, and where the outside world felt a million miles away. They had their own customs, their own dialect, and a history that was woven into the very fabric of the valley. But on the morning of October 28, 1997, that entire world ceased to exist. It all started when a delivery driver, a man named Marcus Thorne, arrived with his usual weekly supplies. He'd been making the trip to Kambali for over a decade. He knew the winding road, the familiar landmarks, and the smiling faces that would greet him. But on that Tuesday morning, something was terribly wrong. An eerie silence hung in the air. The usual sounds of village life, children playing, dogs barking, the clang of the blacksmith's hammer were gone, replaced by nothing. Thorne found the village completely empty. Doors were left wide open. A half-eaten breakfast sat on a table in one house, the steam long gone from the coffee. In another, laundry was still hanging on the line, swaying gently in the breeze. The schoolhouse was deserted, with lessons still scrawled on the chalkboard. Even the livestock, the sheep and cattle in the fields, had vanished. It was as if every living creature had been plucked from the valley floor in an instant. Panicked, Thorne drove to the nearest town and alerted the authorities. What followed was one of the largest and most perplexing search operations in the country's history. Investigators swarmed at the valley. They combed every house, every barn, every inch of the surrounding woods. They found no signs of a struggle, no blood, no evidence of a fire or a natural disaster. They found personal belongings left behind: wallets, keys, family heirlooms, things people would never leave willingly. The only clue, if you could even call it that, was found in the village square. Every single clock, from the grand clock tower to the small watches on bedside tables, had stopped at the exact same time. 3:17 a.m. What could have happened at 3:17 in the morning? The initial theories were what you might expect: a mass evacuation. But where did they go? There was only one road in and out of the valley, and it hadn't seen a convoy of 300 people. A secret cult, a mass suicide pact. Investigators found no evidence to support this. The villagers were, by all accounts, normal, happy people with no connection to any such groups. Then the more outlandish theories began to surface. The valley where Kambali was located had always been steeped in local folklore. Elders in neighboring communities spoke of ancient spirits that guarded the woods, of a silent hunter that roamed the valley in the dead of night. They whispered stories of a gateway to another world, a place that sometimes opened to swallow the unwary. These were dismissed as superstition by the authorities, of course, but for the locals, they held a terrifying new significance. One of the most compelling pieces of this puzzle came from a seismologist who had been monitoring minor tectonic activity in the region. He noted a strange, unclassified energy spike originating from the exact location of Kambali. It wasn't an earthquake. It wasn't a volcanic tremor. It was a brief, intense pulse of energy that lasted for less than a second, registered at exactly 3:17 a.m. on October 28th. He had no scientific explanation for it. He called it an anomaly, a ghost in the machine. Years turned into decades. The official investigation was eventually closed. The case file stamped unsolved. Kambali became a ghost story, a cautionary tale whispered around campfires. The road to the valley was closed off, and nature began to reclaim what was left. Houses crumbled, vines snaked through empty windows, and the forest slowly crept back in, swallowing the last traces of the forgotten village. But the story doesn't quite end there. Over the years, hikers and urban explorers who have dared to ignore the warning signs and venture into the valley have reported strange phenomena. They speak of hearing faint whispers on the wind that sound like the village's lost dialect. Some claim to have seen fleeting lights moving through the trees in the dead of night. One photographer, who managed to spend a night near the ruins, captured a series of long exposure photos. In one frame, amidst the dark, blurry shapes of the trees, are faint, ethereal figures. Figures that seem to be walking through the ruins of the old market square. right where they stood decades ago. Experts have analyzed the photo and can't explain the anomalies. So, what really happened to the people of Kambali? Was it a mass abduction by an unknown force? Did they stumble upon something they weren't meant to see? Or did they, as the old legends suggest, simply step through a doorway into another reality, frozen in time at 3:17 a.m.? We are left with no bodies, no answers, only a silent, empty village, and a mystery that defies all logic. The story of Kambali serves as a chilling reminder that there are still corners of our world that are profoundly unknown, and that sometimes the truth is far stranger than anything we could ever imagine. What do you think happened? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, be sure to subscribe for more mysteries.